Just so everyone is aware, Chambers has been unmuted and we are live on YouTube.
I don't know if there's anything, after that section. Right up there.
I do not.
You know what? Not a politician, so I don't know what that entails, so let's look at.
Oh, that's fine. When they gave me
I'll send you.
Oh, Trish, did you bring this?
No, I did not.
Someone's killing it.
But,
Hey. Who keeps preparing?
That's the wrapper. I'll have some black, please.
You want some black for your face?
So we are live and we are unmuted.
Yeah, you sound like it. Right. Just want to make sure that.
Oh, you're the best, for sure.
You know, like,
No, it'll just keep me up anyway. Take it, please. Yes, I'm president. You're the best. No, thank you so much. You're the best. I really love it. I asked for that. I can too, but I wait later. Are you still tired? You're better.
Okay. You got sugar.
You get. And then I don't even look.
That's what
Eight.
That I'm not sure. I'm gonna talk to Cheryl.
Five.
Here.
What's on your back? Eight.
Tomorrow. Until after Christmas.
Oh, for a year.
Yeah. Did you leave one?
I didn't lose it. I don't know what.
Oh, you don't have one?
I have all.
Maybe somebody's gonna give me.
I wanted to,
Yeah, I know. I
go
don't
through it
blame you.
last night. Cause I thought I had it all. I have an area in the kitchen where I keep my stuff.
Hey. Hans, just so you know, Amanda's gonna be on the screen. Or not on the screen, but on the audio. Hey, why? So whenever you're ready, I'm sure she can hear you if you want to start.
No, just hanging out. You're hanging out with Dave's office. He always has Fox News on. I think he's got a gun.
Just checking, can Chambers hear?
Yes, Fox News.
Okay, I'm just checking, can Chambers hear us? Because you
Barely.
guys are unmuted.
Hello?
Can you turn it up somehow, Amanda?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Amanda, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
A little bit better. Can you go a little higher still?
How is this?
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, the meeting will please come to order. We have a quorum, everybody's here, who's supposed to be here, plus some more. Minutes to approve, motion.
Second?
Any discussion on the minutes? Otherwise, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody, carried. Department appointments done, department updates. Jennifer, please.
So you have my report in front of you. I don't have anything to add at this time, but if there's any questions.
I don't hear any. No questions? Thank you.
You're the best.
Thank you.
This is Dempsey.
Sure.
Same thing, you have my report, if anybody has any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a quick,
Hang on, hold on.
hang on, I got a quick one.
No, your time is up.
The quarterly room tax, are we up, down, the same?
Up. I'm sorry, didn't get the question.
Quarterly room tax, I was asking about where we were compared to like last year, whatnot.
Yes, we're on target, up a little bit. I have a some information I can hand out to you for the various locations if you want to see some numbers.
If you can sign up for us or something.
These are
The portion of this room tax goes to tourism?
Yes,
Yes. Okay, so
Yes.
it comes to the county?
yes, that's correct. These are numbers by some of the.
You know, send
Thanks.
us-
Yep. I did in the report, I'll sign it again.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Finance Department, I don't think there's anybody here from Finance Department. So we'll go on to Diane.
Good evening. You have my report. I'll just ask if anyone has any questions.
That's just going quick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane.
We're also
Okay.
thorough here.
I guess we're down to resolutions, so we'll start in on those, ways and means. This is the extra, ARPA money, I believe, right? No?
No.
I don't think this is,
Go ahead.
I don't think this is ARPA money. I think this was the incentive money that was
Okay,
Medicaid dollars that certain positions were targeted and there was a requirement to give them this type of incentive pay. And this is the second of the payment. Is that true?
Yes,
This is not ARPA funds. These are Medicaid dollars that,
yeah, it's special state funding for just this purpose.
the second,
I'll second it.
okay, discussion. Anybody, any comments?
Just a quick question, how long will this last?
It's through 2024. So the majority of the employees are taken care of after this payment. It's being processed now, but new hires would be eligible for it for each of the first 2 to 6 months periods of their employed. So we'll have this resolution coming up a few more times, but we'll only write a few people at a time if we hire people.
Yeah, Jim?
Is there a formula for how they distribute it or?
It's $1,500.
Oh, it's a flat.
It's a flat thing. It goes extra
I remember.
500, 1,000, it's
I
1,500,
remember.
depending on how many hours you work.
Yep, yep, I remember that, sorry.
Anybody else? Any further comments? Otherwise, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, W-2. Authorizing the corrections of real property taxes in the amount of 2,500 or less. Motion,
I'll move it.
second,
Second.
discussion.
I just got a quick question. What do we mean by corrections, I guess? Where do we, how do we come up with the figure of 2,500?
So this is an annual resolution that we do. The corrections are corrections of error to the assessment roll or tax roll. So if, say, somebody when the assessors misput an exemption on a property, the correction of errors would be the way to correct that. Or if a building was demolished on a property and they didn't catch it when they initially did their roll, that would go through the correction process. So there's a list of reasons why a correction would be.
I mean, I know I've asked this question in years past, but where, how do we come up with $2,500? Does that mean anything over that? We just ignore it, or?
So if it's over the amount of 25,000, then it would have to have approval by the legislature. So really, I think the 2,500, most of them are less than that. So I do report monthly all of the corrections that we've done along with the amounts and what municipalities it impacts. But if it's less than 2,500, it's just, it keeps the process flowing, so it doesn't get held up.
Further questions? None, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried, thank you. Levying the taxes and water district, county water district 3 and sewer district 2 for several towns. Motion, please.
I'll move it.
A second.
A second.
Okay, discussion? Any comments? Otherwise, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. WM4, authorizing the Director of Real Property Services to apportion community college costs for tax purposes. Motion, please.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion? I guess not, so all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody? Carried again. Authorize W5, authorize the county treasurer to pay mortgage tax. This is distribution to the towns, I believe. So. Motion,
Move it, Mark. Second, Basile.
discussion? Not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those against, carried. Authorizing the levy of omitted taxes, WM6. Motion,
Moved.
second,
Basile, second.
discussion? Not all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody? So carried. W7, prorate cost of services provided to towns. Motion,
Move it, Mark.
second.
Second.
Don't want the towns to pass taxes or whatever. Okay, discussion, any comments? Otherwise, all those in favor again? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody, carried. WM8, authorizing the transfer of tax linked property owned by Cayuga County to the town of Summer Hill. Is there a motion?
Move it, Mark.
A second?
Very good.
Discussion? If not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 9, Ways and Means recommendation on 2030 budget office's tentative budget. Anybody want to, let's go over that. Motion?
I'll move it.
For discussion.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? If not,
Is
Wait,
this,
yeah,
this is the housekeeping
This is the
stuff?
house,
that
yeah.
you-
Yeah.
Can we do this at the end?
Yeah.
I'd like to suggest that we do that maybe pass the housekeeping ones. Amanda, I don't know if you can pull up that attachment I sent you.
Because I don't know that we're done, so.
Yes, and then we can make further amendments afterwards. This is
Let's go
kind of
into
like
the
we're
tail
saying, then if they pass, we can look at them on this sheet.
There might not even be some that are in.
I
It
guess what
should be up on the screen now.
Thank you.
If these could be a motion first. If we're all in agreement, they're kind of the simple ones, and then we move on and you can kind of address each of your other ones. And if they pass, we'll end up putting them on this list. I guess that's what we're saying. So it'd be kind of a motion for these adjustments. They're the ones we had talked about beforehand.
It's
First
just a one
one-
page too, right? It's just a.
It's just that. The
Yeah.
first one is just moving between two accounts within the probation department. There's no impact with that. The second one is adding the equipment for $13,000 to the district attorney's office for the grand jury room that was inadvertently left out of the tentative. The next is an increase in revenue of $50,000 for that resolution that I brought for some additional federal funding that we were going to receive. The next one for mental health is budget neutral. It's just increasing some state aid that will be paid to Unity House, but it has no impact on the budget. There's revenue for that. And then the last one is the small adjustment that we were talking for the records department yesterday. The increase. So I guess what I'm asking you is if you can make a motion on this and if this passes, and then we'll move on from there to some other suggestions that you have.
We have a motion in a second, right?
Yep, but we're in the discussion phase, correct?
Yes.
I have a question.
Go to it.
Then on the one for the one that's number one there.
Yeah.
That 15,000 is going from Floyd Hoskins.
No. This is just, I accidentally budgeted $15,000 in an on-call line, and it should have been the part-time salaries line
Okay,
within probation. That's all that's doing, is just moving it so it's in the right line.
all right, thank you.
Okay, further discussion?
So the net effect is $34,251. And I'd like someone to propose that they reduce the use of the fund balance by $34,251.
So you're asking for them.
No, it's on here.
It's on the sheet.
Yes.
Suppose we take it out and put it back. On balance.
Kind of like you would be using less of the fund balance in the proposed budget by $34,251.
I'll make that.
No, we're good, right?
Yeah.
As is, it's good, right?
Well,
Fred,
So just for clarification, this is the attachment to the resolution that you're considering at this point.
All right, but it's good. If I can ask a question, Mr. Chair.
for just these items.
Yeah.
Just those items.
And as it's written in the motion in the second, as is will accomplish everything, right? There's no amendment necessary at this point.
So after the vote, that's correct. That would accomplish that. And I'm presuming at the end of the agenda, there will be space for other amendments to the budget. I think, Mr. Basile, that's what you're looking
Yes.
for. So that would be additional resolutions after this one passes or fails.
Okay.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
It does. I just want to make sure the door wasn't closed on
Understood.
budget items.
I thought we gave you a key.
They locked my desk.
I'm hoping someone makes a motion to do what? No,
Well,
just.
I made the motion, but to take it down from the fund balance.
Yes, which is what I have on here.
I think we're
Fund
good.
balance by
Oh, it sounds like we're good.
34,200.
Reduce using the fund balance by that.
Reduce using fund balance.
That's,
Just need a vote now, huh?
that's already on there. We vote yes.
It is.
then it's in our-
Yeah. Right. So you just need a vote now, huh?
okay. We're voting on how much?
It'll be on 9.
You're on 9. Yeah, okay. Are we doing an amendment on it?
No.
Okay,
As written.
okay, we're good. Those in favor, I guess?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay. W10. Approval of revised SUNY capital request from the college. I suggest we do 9 and 10 together. Unless anybody has difficulties with it.
10 and 11.
10 and
You mean 10 and 11.
10, 11,
I'll
okay.
move 10 and 11 as a bundle.
Second,
I'll second it.
okay, discussion.
Quick, Franz.
Yeah.
So there's no lift from the county. This is just as the representative.
That's my understanding.
Hi, I am here. Yes, it's Kelly. Hi, I am here. I just want to, so we have three pieces of the resolution. One piece is to accept $100,000 donation towards our workforce development, which will be a SUNY match. The second piece is to move also a SUNY match and using our HER funds towards the HVAC for the workforce development, which is the Cornell building. And the last is to develop a $800,000 project, which will be a 23-24 SUNY project of $800,000, 400,000 coming from Oswego County. And their CARES funds, it would be for the Fulton campus to house the police academy and law force development training.
Okay, any questions, any comments, Jim?
So 400,000 is coming from Oswego County.
Oswego County, yes, they're using their AR, and I'm sorry, I'm ARPA, which is our HER funds, but I know it's called different in the county. Yes, they have agreed to transfer 400,000 to us, and then SUNY will match that 400,000 for a total of $800,000 capital project.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Not all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Carried.
Thank you,
10,
Kelly.
11.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 12, authorize the Director of Finance to fill junior account position. Motion,
I'll move it.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any comments, questions?
We talked about this before, I think. This is a new position, or is
This is filling a position.
Kind of creating the bill.
There was an upcoming resignation,
Oh.
it says in the resolution.
Any further questions or comments? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Number 13, authorizing the legislature to create and fill a branch manager position, to change the grade of the manager position. Because apparently insufficient funds, right, or to attract anybody, so.
Yep.
Second? Anybody?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
I've got a discussion.
Yeah.
Grants manager position. So is this the person that's going to be doing the grants, or is this the person that's going to manage a person that's going to be doing the grants?
This is the person doing the grants.
Okay, so we just had to make the name sound better to attract people, or?
I think that was the name that was proposed,
Okay, so now,
but they'll be helping the county write, they'll be researching, writing grants for the county, and then also working with any departments that need assistance with their grant writing.
that's what I was gonna get at. Part B, this will be a full county grant writer. So we won't have anybody saying they need to hire a grant writer from out of town or whatever anymore.
Right.
I know this has been talked about for quite a number of years now. Whether we should or shouldn't do this. So if we're gonna do this, I hope this solves our problem.
Can I ask a question?
But
And is it, we had a position set and only had a minor amount of people apply. And so they redid the position again, correct? So what did we do to make it more enticing besides change?
The
Change the salary.
the grade was changed to increase the salary by approximately $10,000.
What was the grade change from what to what?
So it was, I believe, a 22, which started around 49,000, and now it's a grade 30, so it's starting around 60.
Okay.
further questions, comments?
I mean, just, there was very little interest in the job at the salary that was originally posted.
Correct.
So this is to see if the increase in salary, if you're going to get any additional applicants.
Right.
Further questions? Not all those in favor of W13? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Not carried. Thank you. I guess Eileen is on. Elaine is on, Susan.
Oh.
So it's-
Oh, okay, sure. There's some PW. Let me go back to the agenda. Yeah, Health and Human Services this month had, initially they had 6 resolutions. HH4 was pulled because there were some changes and it'll come back next month. But HH1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 were voted on by the committee. The first 3 were from the Department of Social Services. One was changing the clerk grade 3 to a typist grade 3, so due to retirement. The second was filling 2 human services examiners that are vacant and budgeted. And then the authorization to fill a part-time caseworker position that was funded in the budget and establish the hourly rate for the same. And this is a caseworker that's going to be assigned to work with individuals in hotels and try to move them out in a more timely manner. The last 2 was Office for Aging, to fill a position, a food service helper, that's an hourly rate position. And then 6 is a resolution to permit the Office for the Aging to abolish 1 principal account clerk position and create and fill 1 fiscal officer position to manage the fiscal parts of the department. And they were all supported. I offered them up as HH 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, unless anyone wants further discussion.
I'll second it or move it, one of the 2, whatever it takes. Did you do it as a,
A bundle, yep.
yeah, so I'll second that.
Okay, second? Oh, 1 second. Okay, any discussion on any of the bundle? Any of-
I might be missing something, but I don't see the attachments in today's. Does that matter? Is that relevant?
The,
Resolutions don't seem to be attached.
basically, I brought my HHS one, so I do have the
Right.
resolutions with me, but I'm not sure all the resolutions, Amanda might know better. All the resolutions that pass from the various committees aren't attached in the Ways and Means unless they're amended. Is that the
That
case?
is, yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Amazing. I never noticed that.
Yeah.
Spread as well.
Yeah, there's some that are here, GO, that got amended, but generally they are
Thank
not.
It's always spread.
Further discussion? Anybody? If not, all those in favor of the bundle? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Government operations,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Government operations had 15 resolutions. However, I have a question before I attempt to make them all in a bundle. GO1, which was referred to Ways. We amended the budget.
Can we move for discussion on GO1?
Do we need to even do anything? Like, or because we just talked about amending the budget, but is it necessary to still have this discussion? How about this? Because it's so
This is
relevant.
for this year.
It's still relevant for this year.
Very good. So Aileen, you did a motion.
Separate GO1 from the bundle?
Yeah, so you want to do one?
Yes.
And then we need a second first.
I'll second that.
All right, so no. Okay, I'll move GO1 then.
I just did.
Yeah, so
there's been a second or 2, so,
I'll catch up.
okay, let's call discussion. Anybody?
So I do see that the budget was amended, as well as the resolution is completed now with the proper information we did not have available to us at government operations. So I'm in favor of this moving forward this evening. Thank you for. Oh, you were here. I didn't see
It
you.
took a village up here, but.
Thank
we got
you.
it done.
I appreciate everyone helping Sue get this, and I think everyone's learned their lesson about presenting incomplete resolutions to this body and how it is important for us to be critical and make sound decisions. Thank you.
Any further comments?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mine's probably stupid, but do we always have to change the name if we want to do these things? I'm just curious.
Well, you're probably a better person to say, but if you're saying clerk or you're saying specialist, it
my mind, that kind of clarifies that something is a little bit, you're doing a little bit more complex work. A clerk, I'm a county clerk, but it's not always on the top of the list. A clerk and a town clerk or whatever.
I was just curious if because we always do, we change them a little bit.
And then they get.
I didn't know if you had to. I didn't know if you had to or not.
I think
It's
you do.
probably a stupid question.
Further comments on GO1? If not, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Good to know. Okay, so the remainder, GO2 through GO15 are largely, you want to have one separated. And 2/3 only required on the full life, but let's go. Let's wait, I can't bundle.
Motion,
I think the one with the 2/3.
Hang on, Fred's got.
I just have a question. I have some proposed amendments for GO6. So if you could set that aside. I'll put out the proposed amendments, see if they fly and go.
And
okay,
I'd like to separate GO3 just because, just for the public's sake.
All right, and Jim, I'll try to bundle as many as I can.
Well, GO15, it says we need 2/3.
That's only the full lunch.
That's
correct,
full
right?
lunch. Yeah, okay, that's a bundle.
So how about, I'll make a motion to bundle 2, 4, 5. Wait, no, I'm wrong.
Oh, you're right. 2, 4, 5, 7,
2, 4, 5,
7,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 10, all that.
Move it.
Second.
second. Okay, discussion? Any of the bundle? Not all those in favor of the bundle? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Also carried.
So
Number
now,
6,
GO3.
3,
1, 3, yeah.
yeah, so I will move GO3.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Right here. The reason why I wanted it separated is because I had some people ask me about it. I'm for this. I mean, my head's pounding right now because of sinus infection, so I really don't want to be here, but I'm here. I'm for this for those reasons. Not because I was asked the question, well, you all do it at home. Do it on your computers and all that. No, this is for. I mean, you should have a somewhat legitimate excuse for not coming in, and I wanted that to be heard for the 12 people that might be watching.
That's great.
And I'll give them the privilege to go.
That's
From the video.
That's correct.
No, I think it's well written, so.
Or if you're gone somewhere, you could do it on your computer, you know what I mean? But a legitimate reason for those that are questioning.
Up to the chairman and the chair of the committee, so.
Okay, and it's gonna be made by that was my question, the chair of the legislature and the chair of the committee.
Are in charge of,
For any meeting, so there'll be 2 people that will review all the time? Or will the chair just review the full ledge and each committee chair will review their meeting?
I would think each.
Shereen, you have an answer?
I'm just asking the question so I know, but.
Shereen, you have an answer for the video conference for that question?
Video conferencing.
Yes. Would that be the chair of the ledge and the chair of the committee?
When it's a committee
When it
question.
needs to be approved
Yes,
for
the
some-
chair of the ledge from ledge meeting, chair of the committee. when
for the
it's-
committee?
So it's only that one person's gonna make that decision.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So like tonight, if we had this tonight, I'd call Hans and say, hey, I want to do it on the computer. Because I feel like crap. Hopefully Hans would say yes.
if it's here.
Yeah.
So I guess.
I apologize for
It's all
that.
right.
That's debatable.
I think that there's probably good reasons to do it in certain circumstances. I'm just concerned that, and I shouldn't be, because I think that everybody gets the impression we're not gonna, using it as a way to bail out. And I come to as many of the meetings as I can, not because I'm on the committees, but I'd like to hear some of the conversation and see some of the reactions of people. So I can help make that decision. So I hope did have some people in my district that were concerned about video conferencing. And I said, "No, not like I- myself or Mark from one end of the county to the other are not going to drive down just because. won't feel- They wanted to make sure their legislator was going to attend.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. When I read it over, I mean, and I'll just give an example. If somebody in here had a major surgery or something, and you're in the hospital or you can't, have to be replaced, whatever it may be, and you can't physically be here, at least you get to vote.
Yep, I think it's a good idea. We'll try it out. We can always.
I'll change it later.
We had a situation back years ago, when one of the legislators was carried in on a stretcher to vote on a crucial issue. Because his vote would make the difference. Jeff Edwards. in time, so. We also had a back injury.
Well, I'm hoping I'm not the next.
Yeah, really.
So anyhow, it's,
And Jim, about 4 years ago, I think it was, on our last, it was in December when we were finalizing the budget. We got such a wicked snowstorm north of the thruway that I took a little video and sent it to a couple of people. And the sunshine here.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't move north of the thruway, so I never got.
I'm up for trying this. I guess, I think we have a lot of professionals here. No one ran for these positions to not come. So,
further comments, anybody? Not all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Thank you.
just one more, right? Mr.
Number
Chair?
6, right?
Yeah.
Sick.
So Fred, you want me to make motion, get second, then we'll do an amendment?
If you would.
So I'll
Proceed,
move GO6, please. Second for discussion.
Okay, open for discussion.
So the proposed amendment, if I could, has to do with the second resolve line. I'll look at the statute today, made some suggestions that we should fine tune some of the language. So I'd like to read in the complete language and then see if there's any interest in the amendment.
I don't, we don't
We
have
don't
it
have
in front of
GO6,
us.
do we?
Yeah, so I don't have.
We
it
don't
in
have
front
it
of
up
us.
on the-
as attached.
Can they put it up on the screen?
Amanda, can you put it up?
It won't be in the packet, I don't think. Because there was no changes prior to the meeting.
That's correct. It was just noticed late
Yeah.
today, so I apologize.
You can read it to us.
Right.
Yes, just give me a second. I can get it.
I know you
Thank you.
can.
Be able to read it.
You'll have to listen to me read it.
I'll say just. Easier to read.
I'll invite you to our local library.
Well, thank you.
You do a good job.
Let me know afterward. Okay, so it's a second resolve. And follow along. So resolve that the maximum salaries for the legislators that may be fixed and payable for the ensuing fiscal year shall be as follows. Want me to read that again?
Yes, please.
Second resolve.
Second resolve. Resolve that the maximum, there's the first word,
The next.
salaries for the legislators, and this is the next series, that may be fixed and payable for the ensuing fiscal year shall be as follows. And that tracks much better with what the statute says. And it's always a good idea to have resolutions track that. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'd also, and if possible, I'd like to propose an amendment at this time to change the chairman's line from 60 to 45 where we had it. If we can do that at this time. Yeah, and then,
That's what's in the tentative budget anyway.
no, and then also, so we'd have to do another one to put it in the tentative budget.
No, it's my understanding that 45 is in the tentative budget already.
Perfect, so this changes to 45 and then we'll be where we were to sort of bring us back to.
Well,
Well,
and
we have to
remember, the language says that 60 and the other salaries here are the maximum.
The max.
So if the budget is less than that, at 45, it's only going to be 45.
Okay,
Okay.
so so it really isn't, that's.
It's probably optics.
So
I'll make the motion if somebody wants to
So
second.
this change these amendments to the maximum salaries for this
We
year.
remember we changed
That
to,
was last year.
when we passed the law way back, when I first came on, I think we said it, there's a, like,
1% increase every year.
so we didn't get, because remember, we were so far behind. And I remember you and I voted against it.
Tells you how much I pay attention to these when I pick.
Yeah, it's- right, it's the-
14,000, 38,000.
We get a 1%.
Tells you I'm not doing it.
And I had thought, maybe outbilling Chris in the past, that this type of resolution was letting the public know what is in the tentative budget in terms of the salaries for the various positions.
Required by New York State
Right.
statute to let the public know
Right.
what the maximum salary.
Okay. But that's everyone knew the salary was 45,000. The 60 seemed, where did that come from? But if you change it to maximum, I guess that's how you're hoping to. That's not what's in the tentative budget. The 45,000 is in the tentative budget.
Correct. I was just hoping to track the language of the resolution closer to the statute.
So when I inquired about this, because this is the resolution that came out of government operations, and my phone was ringing off the hook. Because they thought the chairman was going to be making 60,000. I asked a few people, Lynn being one, it seemed as though it was a mistake. So I quelled everyone's to say it's the maximum, whether the actual tentative budget was supposed to stay 45, and then we made that clear at the last meeting. So I don't know why we would include it to be at 60. That's pretty arbitrary, because why wouldn't we say 100? I mean, it's kind of random.
I'll make that amendment.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, that's the county executive, so that's a whole other thing.
Yes, that's like it.
So I don't know why 60. I mean, I just don't.
Historically, I don't know why it was 60, and I wasn't around for the last couple of years, but I know it bounced around. There's a local law, in 2020. It kind of split the salary for part of the year and the end of the year, so salary has bounced around. 60, whether that was a historic number or not, but keep in mind, the original resolution in 21, November of 21, had a chairman's salary at $60,000. That was in November and that passed. And then there was an amendment done on December 9th, changed by Mr. Pinckney, seconded by Mr. Dennison, changing the 60-45. So the only thing I have reference to is what has happened in the last couple of years. So 60 had, whether that was good or bad, I don't know, but just so there's some historic perspective.
So can we just make an amendment to change the 60 in here to
Yeah,
45?
that's what I.
Again, because
Yes.
the maximum is 60, if
I know.
it feels better at 45, then
Sometimes
That's the
optics makes a difference.
make a motion.
I just
We
did. I made a motion to make an amendment, change it to
Chris already
45.
did.
You have a motion on the floor. Change
Then I
it to
second.
45.
It was-
I guess we got a motion to change the 60 to 45, correct?
Yes.
Motion to amend.
Okay. Discussion? There was a second, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay. Discussion? If not, all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody? Carried again.
So I had read some proposed amending language in there. Is there any interest to have that added to this resolution?
Okay. Second for that?
So.
Yes.
I can't move it.
Yes, I know, if I could move it, I will, but do we need to have that verbiage reiterated for?
You want me to read it again?
No, I don't know. Do you need it? Does anybody need it?
No.
Because if not, I'm gonna say what he said. I'll move what Fred said.
Move the amendment.
Yeah, adding the language.
I'll second.
Okay. Further discussion?
Mr. Petcher?
Yes?
I have one question, and it's, I guess it's directed to Miss Marinelli. There is a local law that kind of increases the legislators' salaries every year by, I think, 1.5%. Is that what's in the tentative budget? The increased salaries as the maximum?
Yes.
Okay, that was it.
Okay, I guess. So
Thank you.
We're back to the amendment, of French language change, right?
That's correct.
Okay, further discussion? Not all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried.
Now we gotta do the
actual-
resolution.
Yes, as
Bill
amended.
six
So
as amended.
I'll make the motion to move DO6 as amended.
Second.
All those, yeah. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried again. Okay, planning none. Public Works, Andy?
Public Works had, well, we had 7, we tabled number 7. 8 and 9 were added. Gary, gonna be on the computer, he called me, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 went through committee, so I want to move those as a bundle unless somebody wants them separated.
Second.
Discussion on 1 through 6? Nobody? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried.
All right, 7 is the one that we're supposedly gonna take up here in a month or so when the Parks Commission gets to talk. So 8 and 9, Gary called me today and wanted to add these. And Gary, if you're on, I'll let you explain why. It's the same old reason.
Yes, I'm here. These resolutions are the ones we do either every year or every 2 year, depending on the length of our agreement for our natural gas and electrical energy suppliers. In this case, because of the current volatile nature of the environment, the people that bid were already trying to change what they had bid, and it wasn't in our favor, it was increasing. So at first I was thinking maybe we should do an emergency resolution, but knowing that you guys are not fond of that, I talked to Don, and Don felt we could get the people to hold off until next week when the legislative meeting takes place. So if we get it on the agenda today, we can get this locked in next week and not have to do emergency resolutions for these.
I'll move them as a bundle.
It's basically, basically in December, everything's going up. Imagine that.
Okay,
Oh, no.
questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor of PW 8 and 9, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Judicial and Public Safety, Mr. Mark.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. JPS has 8 resolutions tonight. I would like to offer JP 1 through 8 as a bundle. All have passed through committee unless someone would like one separate.
I'll move it.
Second.
We're open for discussion. Any comments, questions? Not, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried also.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, executive session.
No.
So you want to do propose changes to the,
Okay. Then I guess,
No, this is,
This is
what are we doing?
This is from the
Yeah.
floor.
Somebody tell me.
This is from the floor.
if anybody wants to stir the pot,
I
now's
do.
the time.
I don't think that's an appropriate way to put it. I think we're talking about the budget. I think it's serious, and I think.
You go get them,
on.
Tiger.
Well, so we asked a couple questions at the other meeting. One of them was on the part-time employees that were hired through COVID, and that money's still in the budget for 2023. And the resolution said that when COVID was over, that we would do away with that, and we didn't. So I think Lynn said it was $40,000. The line item had $90,000 on it, so I'd like to have her explain what the 90,000 is and what go through that again for me, please. The resolution we passed clearly stated that that would end when COVID ended. My understanding, that's ended. We're not under an emergency
Mr. Chair. Okay. It was my understanding and you know what, you're right.
No, I actually did give Kathleen a heads up to this and asked her to pull the various resolutions that had been passed throughout the period of time and look at the language. And she can go over that. There was one resolution that talked about the positions would no longer be there once the COVID emergency was there. There were two other resolutions that said one was when the funds were exhausted. And then there was one that had no reference language to these part-time. So there were three various resolutions that got passed. And I think you do have some information about the current number of employees that you currently have. And I guess my understanding, and Lynn will correct me obviously if I'm wrong, the overall part-time budget of the health department has 90-some thousand in it, but there are other routine part-time people that work for the health department aside from these. 40,000 of that 90-some thousand in the part-time salary line was really dedicated to these created part-time only for clinic support. And at that point, you know, when the clinics are no longer functioning, and you're going to be talking about the reason you still are having clinics and, you know, your intent to kind of wean the department out of them. But, you know, I think there is some stuff to get discussed. Yeah.
So yes, it was a good conversation, opportunity to share a little bit more. I think we've all understood how COVID has waxed and waned over the last few years. You're correct. There is no county state of emergency any longer. We do have quite a few people who are still looking within our community to get COVID vaccination. I can tell you that the health department will be the happiest people ever when it's no longer required or necessary for us to do that work. So please don't think that we're like, yay, let's keep this going forever. We've had, I have some data here that speaks to the number of people being vaccinated just through 2022. There are some changes forthcoming. So we are one of the only places that offers Novavax in the county, actually in the region. That matters to some people. We had a great demand. We were one of the only places that had Moderna, which was the only vaccine that was initially available. So people received boosters. Were coming to us for Moderna boosters. Places that do offer it, and pharmacies are offering it. It's hit and miss, your availability. Sometimes you can get in that week. Sometimes it's 3 weeks out to get an appointment. Most doctors' offices are not offering this right now. It's not because they won't. It's more so because they come in 10-dose vials. Once you puncture that vial, you have 6 hours to use it and you have to throw it away. So it's terribly wasteful for a lot of offices to perform this. What is ideal is the fact that just this week, Pfizer is now packaging things in individual syringes. So that will soon become more bountiful and available for offices. You know, during the summertime, we had very few. So we cut back on our clinics. July, we didn't have any clinics. So these people that we have are per diem. They are covered through our grant funding. We are bringing in revenue for that fact. That we are reimbursed when people are insured. There certainly is no cost for people to get their vaccine, but if they have insurance, we are able to bill for it, and we do that, and we get revenue. We brought in through September $105,000 so far in revenue to the county for that purpose. The positions we're using, we did have quite a few positions created. That's certainly true through various resolutions. Currently, we're using, I'll call them per diems. They are part-time care, part-time line, approximately 10 nursing staff, approximately 2 physicians, and approximately 10 vaccine assistants. We call them vaccine support specialists. We're being very efficient. We're approximately, again, I say approximately because it waxes and wanes to the demand. About once a week, we're holding vaccine clinics. The month of September, we had 296 people who were vaccinated, October, 637 people who were vaccinated, November thus far, 273 people. I see that as an act in the community. You know, we're paring back, we're certainly scaling back our efforts, so it's certainly your discretion whether you keep the money in or not.
What were those numbers again? What was the total?
Total for what?
The numbers of people you just said.
So the month of September, and I've got it for the whole year so far, and then I've got.
What's
other
the whole
dates.
year total?
I don't have that. I don't have the whole year total. I just have my month. But it's, you know, thousands of people within our community. January, there were 988, so you start right off. With 1,000 people there.
Right, we're still in consideration.
Yeah, September 296, October 637, November 273. I mean, lesser, right? It waxes and wanes. When the Omicron bivalent came out, there was a lot more interest in people.
So
Sparked up.
it's about 2.6% of our population. And do we do food clinics too?
No. For employees, we do food clinics because we have to vaccinate certain personnel, so then we offer it to staff.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I heard you say you collected a little over $100,000 in insurance billings.
Correct.
That way more covered than 90,000 that we got in the budget, so it sounds to me like this is self-sustaining. We wouldn't need the 40,000, correct?
It depends how the budget lines work, and Lynn can speak better to that if you want to, Lynn. The revenue that we get isn't going in for our use, right? It goes to the general fund or the county.
Yeah.
Was the one.
Take other county residents or other,
There have been other people who come, it's primarily Cayuga County, but there have been other people from out of county, particularly when we offered another tax.
So to Mark's question, I guess, if we brought in 104,000. How do
You
we
need to
track?
budget the expense. So we had to budget the expense, and the revenue comes into a different account. I mean, this is not costing the county any money. I mean, we also it's against a grant for the salaries, and then we still get the revenue. And then you have to net the revenue against state aid for their other expenditures, so it kind of gets complicated, but it certainly is not costing any money to provide this.
What's the game? What's the end?
Pharmacy.
I guess if you would, I follow up question. I get that, you know, the money comes back and we have to put it in the budget, so that makes our budget line look more than it is. And I get that we're putting the money back, you know, from the billing, but it still makes it look like we have, you know, a larger budget, even though we're getting the money put back in. And that's, it's optics, I'm sure, but it's the optics that people are concerned about. When they look and say, oh, your budget this much, why? Well, you can't sit down and explain to them, well, you know, okay, so there's $40,000 that, you know, you had to put there to cover the initial expense of these employees, but we build insurance and put it back into the general fund at +6. It just makes the optics look bad. I
I
understand.
know, but I mean, if you look at like the whole mental health department, their entire budget, and then they have $1.8 million in revenue. It's the same thing. I mean, you have to, for accounting, have the expenses out of an expense account.
I understand.
Right, so I mean, there's no real, but I mean, it happens all over the place in the budget. This isn't a unique thing for the health department.
Right,
That's
it
all I'm
took me
saying.
years working with them in the accounts to appreciate that, right? Because it looks high and the expense looks high, but then the revenue is high, so.
wash. But
Instead of being
You're right.
Fred's fault, it's Lynn's.
I guess, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, but this is labor intensive to do these clinics.
Yes,
You see this initially throughout the year, where there's an emergency, there isn't, that meeting some kind of need for this community as a safety net provider.
thank you.
But-
That's exactly the
But,
term.
once you feel, or it's clear that you have capacity in the community and you don't need to do this, your plan is not to continue to do this. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are you close to that?
I think we'll have a better idea as we get through the holidays, whether there's going to be an increased demand, but, you know, already we're seeing fewer people coming to our November clinic than our October clinic. So I hope so. I hate to give a date because we've been surprised before.
Is it by appointment too?
It is
So you
primarily by
won't-
appointment. We have taken walk-ins, but it's mostly appointment.
So you don't need to mobilize all the staff if you don't have the volume of work?
We very much, we will schedule a certain number and then we cut that back based on his register.
Kathleen, I remember when we started, we were demographically, we were doing percentage of population.
Somewhat subjective. People will say herd immunity is 80% of the population. We are not there. We are not there. I would have to check, but I can do that, you know, pretty soon. I don't have my computer in front of me, but I could see where we're at as a county. The last time I had checked, it was probably about a month ago, and it was around.
I remember we were kind of comparing and seeing where we were as far as seven counties. To the counties in the area and to see where we were to promote the vaccination. But now that we're, let's hope on the tail end of this, where are we ranked? I know there's still a need out there. I do that, but I was kind of wondering if the numbers indicate that way, hey, we're coming up.
I can look for that and get that for you.
I think you say when you spend $40,000. Spending 40 and bringing in 100. Your sheds and meat, you can hire 3%. Percent of the county is using it. Don't even know if all those people are coming.
That's okay. We'll take care of it.
Yeah. So with that, and thank you very much for the explanation.
Thanks.
Satisfied?
Absolutely. Has changed. Absolutely, it's very helpful.
Okay. Guess where are we now?
I got change or whatever you want to call it. I'd like to make a change to the budget, the Soil and Conservation District, line item number A87304-54000. It's 750,000 to 772,000, so I'm asking for $27,000 change, and I'd like the money to come out of the fund balance. And if anybody would like a further explanation on that, Doug Kirsch is here, and he can give you some facts and figures as to why I'd like to do that. Doug?
Second for discussion.
Second for discussion.
Good.
Yes.
Roll for discussion.
That number was last year, if you guys recall, I asked for the 100 to try and get us in line with some of the other local districts so we don't lose staff, lost staff retention. Went back last year, crunched numbers, you guys were grateful, gave us 75,100, maybe 25 left over. So I just asked for that this year. We crunched the numbers just to bring us up at par. Some of our staff is even below the step force for the county. So anywhere from $1 to a couple dollars to up to $5,000. So when we did the math, came up with all those numbers, it came out to, just for the county appropriation staff, came out to $26,428.67. Net salary only, that didn't have to do with any of the benefit line item and all the additional cost of advocacy. Well, I don't know, did really appreciate it last year, which is kind of bring this up. And I know at the meeting last week, it was when health insurance costs went up 3.5%. I mean, that just on that thousand is 26,250. So I was just trying to.
Any comments or questions? I mean,
So I don't have my notes in front of me, but I believe in over 2 years, we've increased your budget by 100,000. So if we were to vote for this today, I just want to make that really clear to this body that we've upped this agency's budget that much money, which means you'll be dependent on this much money moving forward. Correct? I mean, for your level,
Oh, certainly.
for, you know, for your level staffing and everything. So that's a decision we need to think about carefully, I think, as we're moving forward. So I am very thankful for all the work we do. I do a lot of work with watershed. Changes with rules and regulations for the watershed are coming out. You've been a part of those conversations. You know, we're going to rely on you for a lot of things as we already do. So I see the value, but I just am concerned. When I started here, you were level 650 funding for many years. And that level of funding, you were the highest funded district in the state for your base funding by a county. So I just want everyone to be considerate of the fact that we're allowing them to go up this much in 2 years, $100,000, and that they're not going to, you know, next year ask for 200 less. So we just need to be really mindful about if we have to squeeze ourselves in another part of the budget to keep this funding at this level.
go ahead.
Just a quick review. Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, your budget was about $100,000 a couple years prior. So our ask of 100,000.
To put in perspective, in 2011, our budget was 773, 358. In 2014, it was 687, 2015, 648. It went down to 642. Just for the work that we do within the county, just in the last probably 15 months, working with the highway department, we did $630,000 worth of work. We charged the highway department $31,000. The rest was grant. And the last, just this year alone, if you go back through the reports from January to now, we've brought in $3.414845 million worth of grant funds. That's going to be spent here locally with local contractors and everything else. And I agree that the workload that's coming for the new rules and regulations, and element plan and all the other DOT stuff, the first office that everybody says to call is our office. And we have 5.5 employees roughly that this targets. I have 16 in the office to begin with. So the rest of the money comes from state funding and other resources. So we try to bring it back.
Any further questions?
Just one question. In order to keep up your staffing salaries for the staff that we have, and that's really important to make sure people can stay. The grant funding you bring in, can that also offset some of those staff salaries so that you're not totally relying every year on additional funding, or does that just take from the project fund?
Right, so the county corporation, our auditors this year did a little bit. Traditionally, it's been anywhere from 25 to 30% of our overall county corporation. So we're out there earning that other 70, which I'm asking for the 25 to get just the salary part. Back on the extra for the salary and benefits, which is the point. That's where I'm going for the additional money. When we bring in, say, $1 million grant, the portion that typically goes towards salary and benefits, because we'd rather have it all go to implementation work. I mean, we're looking at maybe $12,000, and it could take multiple years to get there. So I need about 7 grants to fund a $100,000 position. Grants are great, and we do a lot of work on them.
Further comments?
I just want to remind this body too that it's agencies like Soil and Water, like CETA, like Water and Sewer, or anyone, when we're faced with tight budget seasons, they're like the music programs of the school district, and we look to them to help us balance our budget. So I just don't want to set up a scenario where without us having this conversation, to know that in a couple of years from now, if we can't rely on sales tax that we do now, that we don't have all this financing and funding coming through as it's been rushing through us with state and federal money as it has in the past couple of years. You know, I just want everyone to be mindful that that's typically the places we trim and we have control over our program. So, you know, there's a lot of new people here. I mean, when I first came in 2016 with Andy, it was tight. We would straddle, like, do we hire somebody and raise taxes? Do we have to lay people off and raise taxes? It was tight. So I just, you know, I'm glad that we're in this position that we can talk about this much funding. As I said, I see the value. I just want to make sure everyone understands a little bit of history about how we can balance our budget in the future if we're faced with a tight budget.
Any further comments, anybody? If not, proceed to vote. All those in favor of motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Carried.
I got one.
Go ahead.
It's perfect after what 8 inches. So I want to be consistent, you know, for 7 years now. I'd like to take C to 0, but I know that never goes over well because I think it's ridiculous that we have a planning and economic development agency within our county. Plus we hire out for, so I'd like to reduce that down to the 250 that we did 3 years ago. Instead of increasing it like we seem to want to do. We were at 350, we went to 250, they survived, and all of a sudden we're looking at 4 something. So,
375 is what's in the budget though.
but there's that 35,000.
We haven't made a
Difference.
I know, but it's floating around.
I know.
there, so that's why I'm jumping it now. Want to be consistent.
All right.
Done it every year.
I'll second.
I'm being nice, I'm going to 250 and not the 0 that I'd like to do, and hire 1 or 2 more people within our own planning and economic development agency to actually do planning and economic development.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, we'll open for discussion.
So much like we rely on soil and water and their funding to go out and seek grants to do the work in this county, we have to rely on this agency to seek grants, get out there, do the work in the County of Economic Development. With the addition of Micron in this community, in this region, it's never been more important than right now for economic development to happen in this county. They are the only ones doing economic development in this county. We don't have a county executive going out there to wrangle people coming in, new businesses, new other funding streams, new taxes. They are our only hope right now. We need to be in the room for any discussions that involve Cayuga County and the Micron movement right now. And they're our only people that we can rely on to do that. They have the power to talk about all the ancillary companies that we need to help with. They have the power to be with Micron to talk about our real estate, to talk about having workers live here, to promote tourism. So I believe this is, I guess, crucial more than ever to include this additional 35,000 that I had mentioned the other day. That I believe I offered as amendment, so it is out there, correct?
Yes, it
But we
just made clear there was no vote.
There was no vote on it.
Right.
So, you know, it is more important now more than ever. If you want to see evolution in this county, this is the kind of thing you need to support. If you don't, if you want to see this county just flounder and not get ahead when other communities in this region will be getting ahead with the addition of Micron in this region, then go ahead and take money away from CETA, because that's what you're going to get. So if you're comfortable with that, that's on you. But we'll be left out in the cold.
Rebuttal. I'm comfortable with it because I've been hearing that same speech for 7 years. And where are we? I mean, we heard that on Amazon. We were going to benefit from Amazon. Because I just heard Amazon's laying off tens of thousands of people across the country, and they've never even filled the place in Onondaga County. Talk to me about Micron in 10, 15 years when it actually happens. Then I'll believe it. But I've also been hearing this for the last 7 years, the seed is bringing all this stuff in. And the reports we used to get was, had coffee with 35 entrepreneurs. Well, did those entrepreneurs build anything? I mean, we're still a shrinking county. So I'm just still the same. It's the same thing for me. Why do we have Cayuga Economic Development Agency and Cayuga County's Planning and Economic Development Department? It makes no sense. I still have people that say that to me. And when CETA has money left over, they've always supposed to have been giving it back to the county. They never have. They keep it in their fund balance. You know, whether that's legal or illegal, that's up to the law people, but that's the way it was written years ago. In my understanding, that it was supposed to come back, it never has. They've always had money left over. And the money we give them basically pays for their salaries and benefits. And last bitch on that is most of, if not all, of what they've ever done has been in the city, and the city does not contribute a dime to them. We do. And I get the argument because we've had it for 7 years. Well, the city is part of the county. Yep, but the city gets the biggest benefits of anything that they do that happens in the county. Just put it out there. That's all.
Further discussion? Jeff?
It's probably quick. 75 votes. How much salaries?
About all.
We just give them a lump sum.
Yes, they get a lump sum. They have a contract with the county. They, I think at a point provided us a budget. I don't have it handy. When the funds are there, they spend them as they see fit. They have their own board, they have their own staff. Just like soil and water, just like any of the agencies. So we don't monitor, during the year what they're spending it on.
Do we know from their budget if they, as Andy made reference to, that there might be money left from last year? I mean, as a county, we should be, I think everyone's talking about how we ought to watch our, what we spend. I mean, even if it's stated at 375, then
The budget did not show that, and we asked them for their fund balance, and he said that they didn't have the information from their accountant, so we didn't get it.
And you asked too, Hans.
I asked,
Yes, you did. When he came to the meeting, we'd like to see your financials.
but they haven't done anything, so.
I just received, yes. It's 6:35. I'll forward it to you. Actually,
Is
it's
it-
their financial statement.
is it 20 pages or one?
It's one,
One?
it's very simple.
Can you send it to a manager, put it right up on the board?
Sure. Okay with that, Amanda?
That was a fair question. about
Yep, I can do that.
And there was a lot of discussion about that in the past years.
It must be listed. It's not there.
I heard that.
This doesn't show it.
Doesn't,
No, this is just their year-to-date. October is their profit and loss and their cash flows. It doesn't show their fund balance.
oh, it's just October 2022.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
just
so
their
they're
year.
not.
Did they get sent to all of us or?
No, he just sent it to me.
we will get forwarded to them? I would think they'd have some reserves given the staff. It doesn't have them over the last 2
It doesn't show it.
I mean, I've heard rumor, and I don't know this for fact, but I heard they only had 40.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I know, I remember.
I'm just saying, I've heard, I don't have that. I heard that they only had 2 employees a year ago.
Amanda, can you roll to the bottom of that page, please? Yes.
Elaine, could you possibly email that to everybody tomorrow?
Sure. Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. Either balance.
Oh, so that's October.
Yeah, this looks like it's the mark. I thought it was everything.
Trust but verify.
It doesn't show yet. So we still don't have any, but they're asking for $375,000 more.
No,
Oh, no.
$35,000.
No, the budget, they're asking for 375 altogether. budget.
And they want another
The tenant.
$35,000.
Yeah,
They had asked for 410 and he lowered it to
We just left it the
375.
same, yes.
Yes.
the budget is proposed by the chairman and the budget director is what was last year, 375, am I correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
Well, what do we want to do?
Yeah,
you. Yeah, you gotta
Now
vote
we
on.
gotta vote.
I could also point out, we don't ask other agencies for their balance sheets. We didn't ask Soil and Water for theirs. We don't ask a lot of other people for theirs either, for these outside agencies.
Maybe shame on us.
So, well, we have in the past. I know that's sat with you before to go over, like way back. But yeah, we haven't, we don't review it as a group here. So, just pointing that out. So
So,
again, I stand by my statements about the future of this county. I don't have any more to say.
well, I guess I'm gonna ask Elaine, I mean, who we give money to these organizations? And we don't ask, we never ask to check the balance and where the money's going, and
It's been going on for years.
Not in
it
this,
doesn't
not,
make it right.
not in this.
Guy tells me he forms a wall the same way, been doing it that way for 20 years, and I have to tell him, I'm sorry, for 20 years, you've been doing it wrong.
Not,
know.
not in this form.
What form does it get reviewed?
We
Like,
should
just so I understand.
We should get
Be-
quarterly
between the
reports.
chair and the budget director,
We've said that for years.
whatever they present to you with their.
We certainly have asked in past years, I think as Aileen was saying, when budgets were tighter and agencies and departments were asked to cut their budgets. You know, it's up to the chairman and how he wants to present the budget, how much we want to ask people to get information.
I guess sorry,
I'm just trying to understand.
if I may, just my concern is,
Yeah, is it up to me, Chairman?
yeah, go ahead.
Just so you know, we've been meeting with this Micron when it started 2 months ago, whatever it was. We've been meeting with CETA. They're a very big part of our meeting, part of our group. They're actually going to be part of us representing a big group insurgents. I think Mike has changed the attitude down there. I think a lot of things have changed in the last 2 months. Would it help everybody in here if we had their reserve money by next Tuesday so we could vote on it? Would that help everybody with it? I mean, can we all, Aileen, if you want to reach out to Mike and so we have that information, if that'll help get it through, maybe that's the best thing we can do.
And we'd have to withdraw, well, you want to do an action?
Is that, Andy, would that help or not?
What are you asking of me to withdraw my?
I think he wants to do it either way.
Educated. So we get some more information on how much money we really have.
So is it really just the reason?
Fund balance.
It's not necessarily just fund balance for me, but I mean, the fact that you asked and get nothing.
More than once.
Fine, I'll rescind my amendment till next Tuesday.
You revisit it.
Where
I was wondering if we could get copies of minutes from their last 3 to 6 board meetings.
We get nothing.
To see what is happening in the back to the discussions. I don't know if those are public or not, but
I would imagine they are. I mean, you're
it'd
on
be
the
good to see it.
board. Would you be able to get that for us? too?
Sure.
Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
I guess my issue is that, Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee asked for, some information, in a timely fashion and no response. That is a concern of mine, and it should be for this entire legislature.
It is for me.
Not to defend that because if I was in that situation, I would trip over myself to give you that information. However, I think the next Ways and Means on the schedule is next week, or is it next week? It says special legislative.
Last legislative next week,
It's-
or this month.
The full ledge meeting.
I think there was one on the calendar, but I don't know if there's really one happening. Amanda would be able to tell us.
So that might be the issue. In terms of why it wasn't. Again, I would have tripped over myself to get you that information as soon as you asked for it, but.
Special.
There she goes. She put the camera back.
There's a special ed meeting for the 30th.
Was there one in December, Amanda, that says Ways and Means?
30th.
Then you would have asked for the schedules. Do you have?
No,
any-
it's not with the budget. I don't know what that special ed meeting is for.
Just
On
the
the
hearing on
30th.
the budget, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's just the hearing. on
What
the
is
budget.
the November 30th one?
The next Ways and Means is December 8th.
Right.
Amanda, can you tell us what the special ed meeting on the 30th?
That's a contract negotiations.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, the motion's been withdrawn or, withdrawn, so. Jim,
So we talked about getting their fund balance. I guess what we should have, the budget and then what they have. Not just. And maybe we don't care. We just want to.
No, we do care.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out, because there was two conversations going on. One talked about, I'm not going to, one talked about reserve. Some of us were talking about their budget, balance sheet,
I think a copy of their financials for the last 3 to 6 months, as Trick pointed out, is proven.
and for the year. Okay, that's what I'm trying to find out, so we get what we're asking for. We're not up against the wall for last minute. In fairness, if Elaine's can ask, she's gotta be able to tell them exactly what we want.
Well, some of you in here probably don't know that Aileen is our representative on that board, so she represents all of us on that board. So if you could give up,
Oh, yeah, I definitely,
I appreciate it.
So I just want to make sure she has the right question.
yes, it's 80.
Hey,
Okay, John.
You know,
Okay, John.
Yes, we need a lesson here.
Yeah.
Kathleen,
Kathleen.
Yeah, I'm used to it because I've been here the whole time.
Yeah,
Or-
thank you.
and then When she came later, I got the
Yeah,
Elaine part.
okay, any further business? Anybody? Last call.
Is this the last time we can? No. We can still
No.
make
This will be
amendments.
for the what's proposed by the Ways and Means Committee. There will be a resolution for the things you passed. That goes to the full legislature next week.
And then I can hammer
And
it
then
out.
And then
we'll
vote.
get,
But after that, a legislator can still propose after when we have the preliminary budget will be set. With the changes from Ways and Means, correct?
That's correct. And the public hearing is set for
December
when in December?
8th. I don't believe a legislator can make a motion on Tuesday.
They can.
Okay.
next Tuesday.
Still, okay, and that will be part of the preliminary, or is the preliminary only with the Ways and Means changes? in it?
That would be the tentative as changed at the end of the night. Whatever that is. Is what the public hearing.
All right,
But if someone has something, this would be the time to bring it up.
I want clarification on the legal department. I just rescinded my amendment.
you can do it Tuesday.
Will I be able to do it again Tuesday if I feel I need to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Assuming you get a second.
Okay, that's my clarification.
So there's the tentative budget that the chairman released. Then there's the budget that the Ways and Means Committee is recommending that changes the tentative budget that goes forward.
I might phrase it a little different.
Okay.
We have a tentative budget.
Yep.
So a bunch of changes were made today at 2 different sessions.
Yep.
So what's gonna be presented to the legislature next week is gonna be the tentative budget with these changes
From Ways.
from Ways.
Yep.
Legislature will consider those and any other budget amendments that are brought up on Tuesday.
Okay.
And then whatever that looks like is the budget, let's call it the budget, that's the budget, that goes to the public hearing in December. December 8th.
I guess.
Yes.
Something like that.
It is the 8th.
And so there will be no further options to make changes following next week's full ledge.
At the public hearing, members of the public could come forward and convince this body that changes should be made. And then what I would expect is somebody to make a motion to change it at that point. Presumably a legislator could make additional change. And at the end of that meeting, that is your budget.
Thank you.
Just say, just one more clarification. What I heard, I mean, until we as a body pass the final budget, anyone on this body can bring up suggested change.
At the appropriate meetings, yes.
Yes, which would be the full ledge or the final, well, now, whatever, public, whatever the date was.
So Tuesday of next week and then December 8th.
December 8th.
Assuming a decade, right, but.
I think it.
Anything further, any?
So we can't close, we gotta go to executive session before we close the meeting.
Right.
Correct.
So I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss real property.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Hi.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Echo in the
Oh, no.
Hey, Lynn, can you ask Fred if he can end the meeting? Hey, Lynn. Hey, Lynn,
Yes,
can you ask Fred if he can end the meeting? Or did he go into executive session?
they just wanted the executive session. You want me to do something?
Well, no, I have to wait until they get done, I think, to end it. But I asked Fred and he didn't text me back. So I was like, I don't know if he can.
What do you want him to do on the computer?
Yeah, because I can end it, but like I'm not supposed to end it until they're
You want him to end it?
after they come out, you know?
Yeah, otherwise you're just have to wait, right?
Right.
I think you're separated.
You said what? I should just
I
wait.
think you're stuck waiting.
Okay.
I mean, at least you're at home. Just put it,
Yeah. All right.
you know what I mean? Just leave it on and just wait.
Yeah.
Like, who knows if he will do it right?
Right.
All right, I'm walking out. You can't see me, but I'm walking out.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
restated it. It will be, he wants to
Have
sort of
you
do.
motion to
crowd
come out
floor.
of executive session and adjourn?
He's like getting up there. So basically, I think
Is she talking?
I don't
Have y'all
know.
come out of executive session and made a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you just do that for the YouTube channel?
Can't hear you, Amanda. Turn it up a little, will you?
Can you do it for the YouTube channel?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sure.
I'll give my vote.
So I think they want that amended, so. we'll sort of be like, so to speak.
Thanks, Amanda.